Hello, hello, hello. We are back. Episode 9 of season 3 of the HoopTalk podcast. There's been a week intermission in between. But we are here to provide our Western Conference All Stars, following on from 2 weeks ago, where we gave our Eastern Conference All Stars. I feel it is necessary for me to say once again, similar to 2 weeks ago, these are our All Star teams. This is not a prediction of what we think will happen. This is what would happen if the All Star game was up to us. So this is my list. This is John D's list, not anything based on how we think the voting is going to go or anything like that. But that's the only caveat that I guess I have to add in. But before we get into our Western Conference All Stars, John D, is there anything you want to get off your chest based on happenings in the NBA recently?
This is our yearly downfall with the Lakers. Now I see we found a new scapegoat. The media has found themselves a new scapegoat, and that seems to be JJ Redick. I'm not gonna sit here and say JJ Redick is the greatest coach of all time. I think he's gotten better. I definitely do think he holds players accountable, which I personally like. But people are starting to pull in that clip where he was telling Doc Rivers to hold himself accountable, and everybody's saying JJ Redick isn't holding himself accountable, even though he's had multiple press conferences where he's held himself accountable and other players. But people don't watch, people don't pay attention. That is what it is. I just Again, you've seen it firsthand. I've seen people say I'm not a real Laker fan. I'm way too low on the Lakers. When I've been saying this all off season, all season. Now, towards the end of the season, I was talking a little hot because I thought we was going to have a better off season than we actually had. That's okay. I'm a fan. It happens. Anyway, this team doesn't have any athleticism. That's one. That's obvious. We knew that since walking into the season. Number two, with the amount of guys who are on prove-it deals on this team, you would think they'd be trying a little bit harder on the court. You'd think they'd be boxing out. You'd think they'd be running in transition. You'd think they'd move their feet a little faster. Guys like Dalton Connect, who has found themselves out of the rotation in his second season, just refuses to do the dirty work stuff, even though that's something that could keep him on the floor. DeAndre Ayton is on a prove-it deal and still barely wants to set contact on screens. We have a 41-year-old. He's not off the table. He's not off the table. We have a 41-year-old who's won 4 championships and has played in the league for 23 years. Now, I'm not expecting him to make the same plays he used to in his heyday. I'm not asking him all that. What I'm asking is, you're supposed to be setting a better culture for this roster. What is going on? What is going on? It's aggravating because this has been a problem for 3 to 4 years now. The Lakers have constantly had players who don't want to put in any effort, don't want to make the second chance opportunities, don't want to fight to be on the floor. But now we're blaming JJ Redick. Nobody was blaming Darvin Ham when D'Angelo Russell was on the sideline eating peanuts in a playoff game in the middle of a huddle. Nobody was blaming Darvin Ham. But now everybody wants to blame JJ Redick. I don't get it. Yeah, this team is not good. This team is not good. It's not. We're probably going to make the playoffs. I'm sure we're going to make the playoffs. But this team, man, we have a long way to go. A long way to go. But, the media is JJ Redick's fault. It's JJ Redick's fault instead of admitting we don't know. The Lakers must not know the formula to go win a championship or to go be one of the best teams in the league. They must not know the formula anymore. Like, we're trying to stack superstars, yet the superstars we have can't even win their minutes together. Like, what are we doing? That's it. That's all I got. I have a 40-minute video talking about it on my channel. I don't want to keep repeating myself, but that's my thoughts on the Los Angeles Lakers. Gonna be a long season. And then a clip just resurfaced. A clip just surfaced right before we started the pod of DeAndre Ayton talking about, y'all bought into that? You need to buy in.
Okay. Shout out to the Lakers. As you said, you got a video on your channel. As always, John D's link is in the description at the Buzzer Sports on YouTube. Anyway, our All Stars. Let's be a bit more positive. Let's talk about some of the best players in the Western Conference. The rules are obviously there's no position lock, so if you wanted to have 12 guards in theory, you could. With that being said, there is a player that both me and John D didn't have on the ballot, but we did want to talk about. So we're gonna start with that player. I'm gonna let you go first, John D. Talk to me about Cooper Flagg and why you even considered him as a rookie.
Cooper Flagg has been phenomenal over the past few weeks. I think and in December he's averaging something crazy like 24, 6 and 5. This is somebody that is a relentless transition player, relentless downhill finisher, somebody that can get to the rim with ease, and it just looks like it's starting to figure out for him, which is a little bit earlier than I thought it was going to be, especially given the situation that he was in, trying to play point guard with the offensive limitations that the Dallas Mavericks have. He has been the best player on that team, in my opinion. He's been the best player on the team. He's been the most consistent offensive player. And when you find a guy that just turned 19 and you can give him that willingness to become a better player, to give him that intensity that he has on the court, that effort, that type of skill, I think that's something that you can't find everywhere. That's something you can't find everywhere, and Cooper Flagg has it. I mean, just the ability to put the ball in the basket, the ability to get to the rim. I think he's been great there. I think he's been great as a defensive player as well. I think Cooper Flagg is showing everybody what he could be, especially against the Nuggets the other day where he had 33, 9 and 9. Like, it's going to be really hard to stop him. He's really good off the ball. He's really good as a cutter, as a screener, somebody that can play in the short roll. I think offensively, he's really starting to put it together, and that's what really made me consider putting him in this all-star team. If I had one more spot, I would have gave him the nod just because I think he's been great. But yeah, Cooper Flagg has been great.
Yeah, I think right now, if we did this again in February and he continued on this level of play, I do think he would have a chance, especially with like some of the injuries going around the West. But as of today, the level he's been at for the past month or so, I don't want to simplify it to he's no longer playing point guards, because I do think like stylistically he's actually playing really similarly to how he did early in the year in terms of his on-ball reps. But in terms of just putting a timeline on it, since Ryan Nembhard's been the full-time starter, Cooper Flagg is averaging, to your point, 24, 6 and 5, 61.5% true shooting. The Mavs have gone 500 in that stretch, which isn't bad, but isn't great, obviously. Defensively, I think he's really picked up. Seeing him more as like this off-ball defender that we were told about in college, the level of defense, the rim protection, the length, the verticality, the motor, all of that stuff is starting to shine now. And then offensively, he's way further ahead than I thought he was going to be. Way further. The three ball hasn't fully come around. We're seeing moments of it. For example, the Denver game that you alluded to on Christmas, he was it on Christmas or right before Christmas? Right before Christmas.
Right
They played the
before.
Warriors on Christmas. That Denver game you was alluding to, where he makes 4 threes. Last night against the Kings in that third quarter where he makes 3 threes. Stuff like that. If the three ball comes along, because even in this stretch, he's shooting 33%. If we get to a point where Coop is a 37, 38% three-point shooter, which I think there's been indicators that he can shoot the ball, the mid-range stuff is promising. He's a decent enough free throw shooter. He had a really bad free throw shooting game. I want to say, was it the game they lost against the Pelicans? I think he was really bad from the line. But the signs, I think, are there. And I do think the last month or so, he's been playing at an all-star level. So I wanted to just give him credit, obviously, just turned 19. So the fact that we're talking about someone who is maybe, a week into being 19, as an all-star caliber player, maybe if this was the Eastern Conference and he played at this level from the jump, I might have had him on my all-star team. I think that says a lot about the level in which he's playing at. But unfortunately, the Western Conference is tough, and I think he started the season just a bit too slowly to make our current all-star ballot. But there's still 2 months a month and a bit to go. So we'll see if he keeps this up for 2 months. Maybe he can make a push for that spot. But right now, not so much. But anyway, on to our actual all-stars. Do we start with the obvious names? There are obvious names. Do we start with the obvious names, or do we start? Yeah, we'll start with the obvious names. Guys, I had Shai Gilgeous-Alexander as an all-star. I'm just gonna put that out there. I had
Hot
Shai
take.
as an all-star.
Yeah.
I had Shai as an all-star. I'm not ashamed to admit it. I do think he's playing at an all-star level this year. I mean, quite frankly, they're on still the best team in the NBA. I know they've been losing recently, but they are still the best team in the NBA. Shai's still having an MVP level campaign, although I do think he's slowed down as of late the last few weeks. But still having an MVP level campaign, still one of, if not the best scorer in the NBA, the turnover, all the stuff that's been said about Shai still applies here. He's still playing at an obvious all-star level. He's on both of our all-star ballots, no surprise. Is there anything that you really want to say about Shea that hasn't been said already?
Yeah, we've done a lot of Shea Gilgeous-Alexander praise this season, and I think he's deserved it. I mean, what he's averaging like 32 points per game. He's one of the best mid-range players we've seen this generation. Just the ability to get there, the ability to get to the free throw line, the ability to get to the rim, the ability to finish over lengthier defenders, the ability to finish through tough defense and tough athleticism and tough physicality. We know how good Shea Gilgeous-Alexander has been. He's one of the least turnover prone 30-point per game scorers we've ever seen. He's been shooting the ball much better this season than he did last year. Just forefronting an offense when he has this much of a load. I mean, I think Shea Gilgeous-Alexander was a shoe-in for this All-Star team list.
Yeah, it was obvious. We obviously wrote him in instantly. And then once again, surprise, surprise, the other guy, the other MVP candidate. I had Nikola Jokic as an all-star as well. He just had a crazy game on Christmas. Obviously against the Wolves. What was it? 56, 16, and 15? Was that what it was?
Yeah.
Something like that. Followed up with another triple-double against the Magic, although I would argue he wasn't as great in that game. But once again, another triple-double. Shout out to him. Another shoo-in. I will say, since obviously Shea and Jokic are all-stars, there's no real debate there. I think because I was on Ball Don't Lie. When was that? A week or so ago, a week and a half ago. We spoke about our top 5 MVP candidates, and I had Shea 1, Jokic 2. I may have Jokic 1, Shea 2 now.
With how small of a gap it is between them, a skid like that from Shea could change the. So I definitely understand, especially with the games that Jokic has been having and how the Nuggets have been able to create one of the best relative offenses of all time without Aaron Gordon on the floor, and somebody else that I may have on my list has been playing to the level, and them being one of the best clutch duos we've ever seen. So I think Jokic has been great, and yeah, it's going to be a toss up between them two. I'm unfortunately probably going to have to ride with my guy all season, but it's all
Oh
good.
God, still? Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah, I'm gonna ride with my guy.
Shout out to you, man. Shout out to you. No judgment here. No judgment here. It's cool. Just for reference, Jokic is averaging, what is it, 29, 13, and 10, 29, 11, and 10, something like that.
Exactly.
Let's get the actual numbers here. Yeah, Jokic 29.9. We're not even gonna give him 30. 29.9, 12 rebounds, 11 assists. He's also 71% true shooting.
I was just about to say it's like crazy true shooting too.
Yeah, he's 71% true shooting, which I believe is plus 13 efficiency. I don't know. There's not much that can be said. Like, we're looking at offensively, regular season, it's up there. He's on the short list. We'll say that. 2016 Steph, if you want to go with maybe a bronze season here and there. 2019 Harden. You want to go back to find some MJ years. Yeah, sure. But he's on a very short list of the best regular season offensive players we've ever seen. This is ridiculous. We'll just say that. But you did allude to his teammate, and that's someone who's less of a shoo-in. But I want to ask you, do you have Jamal Murray on your All-Star ballot?
It was either between him and De'Aaron Fox for me, and I went with Jamal Murray.
Talk to me.
Jamal Murray this season has been fantastic. I believe it's 25-7 on about a 63% true shooting. Knowing that he does not start the year like this in his recent years has been a great push for them. They've been looking much better when Jamal Murray is playing like this. The shot making, the ability to play out of the pick and roll with Nikola Jokic. And he settles on like a really tough shot diet, but he's one of the best tough shot makers in the league when he's playing at this level. We've seen it in multiple years, whether it was the 23 postseason, whether it was in the bubble, or whether it's now. Jamal Murray has been able to make these tough shots. He's really good in the mid-range. He's one of the best three-point shooters in the league. I think Jamal Murray really deserved to be on this list. He's a little bit further down, but I wanted to give him the shout over maybe some guys that probably deserve it a little bit more. But I think Jamal Murray deserves a spot on this list. It's just a lot of guys.
Yeah, he's on my All-Star ballot. I also did consider De'Aaron, so spoiler alert, he didn't quite make the cut. I guess
Yeah,
my cop out can just be games played. I'll just
that
go
was
with that right now.
mine.
But he's definitely playing at an all-star caliber level. So this is definitely no knock to the level in which De'Aaron Fox is playing at. But Jamal Murray, I think, just offensively, this is, I guess, you're seeing playoff Jamal in the regular season. The playoff Jamal in the regular season. He's shooting the hell out the ball. I don't know if there's 10 better shooters than Jamal Murray in the NBA when you're looking at shot quality, shot difficulty, overall shot making from three in the mid range. He makes his free throws. I believe, I don't know if you said it, I believe he's at or around 50, 40, 90. If not, he's a couple free throws away. Like, it's ridiculous efficiency when you're shooting mostly jump shots. 49, 46, 89. 46% from three on 7.5 attempts a game.
Yeah, that's
And
ridiculous.
this is someone who is shooting 51% of his threes are assisted, which means 49% of his threes are self-created. And he's shooting 46% on his threes. That is just absolutely ridiculous. There's not many people in the NBA period who are shooting at that clip. Just the overall shot making, out of dribble handoff, self-creation, all of that stuff. I mean, offensively, he's been just nothing short of amazing. Now, defensively, I still think he's been bad this year. Haven't liked much of what he does on defense. Not going to guard on the ball, not particularly laterally quick. Isn't great navigating around screens. Can be ball watching at times. Like that, the defense is a problem. But offensively, when you're shooting at that clip, that's all-star level production. That's kind of where I'm at. That's just all-star level production, and I think it should be recognized. So shout out to Jamal Murray. He's on both of our all-star ballots, and coincidentally, because this wasn't the plan, we've started off with all the international players in the West. So I'm going to continue
Oh, okay.
down that trend, and I'm going to assume you have Luka Doncic as an all-star.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. And going to talk about Luca real fast because I do
Go
feel as
ahead.
though Luca has been um kind of, I don't think he's getting like a fair rep right now in some of these Luca and Shea conversations. I'm not sitting here saying or trying to fight that Luca's better than Shea. I've conceded that. Shea is peaking right now at an all-time level. I think he's better than Luca right now. That's okay. But by the way some people talk about Luka, or just the consensus around Luka Doncic is that he's like, people talk about him like he's still not one of the best offensive players or one of the 10 best players in basketball, one of the 5 to 6 best players in basketball. This season, he's averaging 33, 8.5, and 9 on a 61% true shooting, highest true shooting since his 23-24 season. He's one of the best isolation players in basketball on about 6 attempts, averaging what? 1.06 points per possession, which is second in the league with anybody averaging 3.5 possessions or more per game. I'm lost when we talk about things like that. Like I talked about it in my last video. We harp on Luka Doncic's rim pressure. One, some of the best touch around the rim. Paint non-restricted, 60%. Around the rim, 91%. Now he's not getting there a lot. I will say that he's not getting there a lot, but the touch around the rim is undeniable. We act as if when Luka Doncic is in pick and roll, all he has to do is break the 3-point line for somebody to tag the roller or for somebody to stick to the corner shooter. When you are, just like how we talked about the other day, when you are a A+ scorer, some reads or some passes you just don't have to make. When you are an A+ passer, you don't have to get all the way downhill. When you can make every single pass in the half court, you don't have to get all the way downhill every single possession. The second he's breaking the 3-point line, he can make the skip pass, he can make the lob pass, he can make the lay down pass, he can make the bounce pass, he can make whatever pass you want him to. There's multiple clips. Like we can watch them together. Luka Doncic, as soon as it's like, okay, I'm at the elbow. I'm not right under the rim, but there's 3-4 players watching what I'm doing. And now I just hit the cutting LeBron off of where I'm at. So that's another thing. I can understand some people's gripes with Luka. Takes him way too long to get into his actions on offense. We could be 11, 12 seconds into the shot clock. Now he wants to do his isolation, and it's like, we know exactly what you're going to. There was a game against Utah where it felt like Luka was getting into his sets, getting into his action much earlier. And I think that makes the Lakers much better. If you don't have the step back three with 13 seconds left in the shot clock versus 4, that's much better. That's much better. The above the break 3-point shooting, 33%. We can cool off on that for a little while. Till you get your shot back, let's not be taking 30 of them a game. Let's not be taking 17 threes a night if you're shooting 33%. We can knock that down to about 8. Let's shave that off a little bit. But I just don't think he's getting a fair rep. I don't think he's getting a fair rep. I still think Luka Doncic is one of the very best players in basketball, but like we're in Cooper Flagg convos now. Like, what are we doing? Like, are we losing the plot? Like, what are we doing? That's my rant on Luka. I still think Luka is still one of the very best players in basketball. Yes, it can be very aggravating to see him take another step back three with 3 seconds left on the shot clock, and the 3-point shooting in its totality has been very aggravating from him this season. But I think some of his struggles have to do with the limitations of the roster. I think if there was a more athletic team that was willing to run in transition, that he would get into his offense a little quicker. Now, that is a part of that is on him not being able to initiate that. But I still feel as though if there's a little bit more athletes on the team, he'd be able to get into his offense a little quicker. A center that is like bought into completely setting screens would be nice as well, instead of somebody that's just dodging them and then stopping at the elbow. That would help as well. But I still think Luka is still one of the very best players in the league. I just don't think he's getting a fair rep right now.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. I'm gonna similar to you. I'm gonna do my best defending Luka, but it might come across as like negativity. I don't know. Luka is pretty much the same person he's always been. That's kind of where I've been on the fence, been sitting for a while. I feel like part of it is, you're on the Lakers now, so there's more attention. Part of it is definitely the 3-point shooting. I definitely do think because he's shooting 10.5 threes a game, which is like right in line with what he shot in 24, if not exactly the same. But there's a big difference between 38% and 32%. There's a big difference. So like the fact that he's missing more of them now definitely does make it seem more problematic. But in terms of his approach, the idea that Luka's approach is a problem just throws me off. Oh, he's not getting all the way to the rim. Like the guy's shooting 58% on twos. Like, who cares? Like, I don't know what to tell you. That's like the second best rate of his career, only behind 2023. And I've made the argument, even when 24 Luka was happening, that he was actually better in 23, but they didn't make the playoffs that year. And he didn't shoot 38% from three, so no one seemed to care. And apparently it's a hot take. But yeah, Luka is playing inside the arc at an elite level, regardless of if it's at the rim or not. Not to mention the guy shooting 12 free throws a game. So yeah, take away some of those rim attempts and replace them with 80% free throw shots. Like, cool. We still live with that offense. It's still amazing. In comparison to, once again, that 24 season, he shot 8.5 free throws a game. So I'm already taking 4 more free throws a game. I'm shooting free throws at a better clip. So I'm still adding more efficiency there. And I'm inside the arc at a better clip as well. Like, the only issue people can really have is that he's not making threes right now. And I would argue how much of that is 24 was more of an outlier season in terms of how good of a shooter he actually was. And he's probably closer to a 33, 34, 35, 36% guy as opposed to a 38% on 10.5 attempts. Like, I don't think people quite understand the level of shooting 38% from three on 10.5 attempts is, when I had to look at 70% of your 3-point attempts are unassisted. Like, that's just ridiculous shooting. That's peak James Harden. That's like Steph Curry doesn't even shoot 70% unassisted. Like, that's a level of shooting that if you were expecting that to be the standard, I'd argue you just probably set the standard a bit too high. Like, Luka being able to generate a step back three on command, if he's making that at 34, 35%, which I understand he's not doing right now, but if he's making that at 34, 35% and he can get that whenever he wants, that's still a good outcome more often than not. I think with the rise of Shea, people have started to value things that have been weaknesses of Luka's for a while, like the turnover stuff. Yeah, that's going to be a weakness of Luka, and now people are complaining about it more because Shea's this turnover economy guy. So it's like, oh, turnovers, they're the end of the world. You're muted, by the way. Can't hear you. Yeah,
Appreciate
so I don't know what you said.
Not to cut you off. We act like Shea isn't an anomaly. Like, when we see guys or guards that have the ball this much, they're going to turn the ball over. Like, that's something that's going to happen. When you have the ball that much, you're going to turn the ball over. We can't, and this is something that happens throughout basketball. People just start thinking the anomalies are the normal thing. Like, people that look at what Shea's doing, be like, oh, this guy's not doing that, so got to drop him down a little bit. No, this is something that is normal. Like, when we look at guards that have the ball as much as a Luka or a James Harden or a Magic Johnson, these guys turn the ball over. So
yeah, and I want to make sure, like, it's definitely praiseworthy that Shea doesn't turn the ball over. Like that's a notch in Shea's cap. Shout out to him. Amazing turnover economy.
That's
Jalen
fantastic.
Brunson's another one, by the way. Jalen Brunson has the ball a lot, doesn't turn the ball over. Go back to last year. Tyrese Halliburton has the ball a lot, doesn't turn the ball over. Like that's credit to those guys. But that doesn't mean that now you expect every ball dominant heliocentric player to not turn the ball over. Like it would be great if Luka was able to do this and only average 2 turnovers a game. Would he be a better player? Yes. But also that doesn't mean that he's just way worse because of the turnovers when you look at all the other value he's providing. I've always been on the side of I wasn't as high on Luka when everyone else was saying he was the best player in the world in 24. I wasn't, so like I haven't fallen off on Luka and like, oh my god, he's fell off a cliff. Last year that Luka, don't talk to me about that Luka.
Yeah.
But this year Luka to me is very similar to the Luka I saw in 24, the Luka I saw in 23, and then he's way better than the Luka I saw in 22, 21, and 20. And people are fantasizing about that Luka because he was skinnier and he dunked a few times. But like at the end of the day, it's about effectiveness. And this Luka, he's pretty much mastered his craft and what he does. He's a high pick and roll player. He's going to be heliocentric. You run the whole offense through him. He can make every read in the book. You play him one-on-one. He's going to score on whoever he wants. There's going to be downsides to that style of play. Like there's inherent downsides to pretty much every style of play. There's going to be flaws. But at the end of the day, his strengths are so strong. He's still one of the 5 best offensive players on the planet. The defense, we're just going to leave it alone. We're not going to talk about it. We know he's not a good defender. He wasn't a good defender in 24 either, despite some people trying to convince you because of a team scheme he was good. No, he was hidden well within a team scheme, but that doesn't mean he's a good defender. And I do think he could still do similar things if he was on a team that wasn't the Lakers, where they have no one to hide him within a team scheme. LeBron's not playing defense. Rui's not playing defense. Austin Reaves is not playing defense. DeAndre Ayton is not playing defense. You have Marcus Smart, Jared Vanderbilt. Those are the only 2 people on the roster who play defense. So, like, I think Luka could still provide still be part of a really good defense in the modern NBA. It's not like we're 18 months removed from Luka being in the finals on one of the best defenses in the regular season and playoffs. It's not a far-fetched to say Luka could still be part of that. But he's not on a roster that's designed to do that. And obviously, you have to build a good scheme around a Luka Doncic defender because he's not a good defender. We know that. But that doesn't mean it's impossible to build a good defense around him. Anyway, Luka, all-star caliber player, easily. Top 5 player, in my opinion. I'm seeing people move him out the top 5. I think we've gone a bit too far. The pendulum has swung a bit too far the other way. I wasn't calling him the best in the world when he shot 38% from 3. I'm definitely not going to stop putting him in the top 5. Because again, he's the same person. Like he plays the exact same way. All the flaws that I've been pointing out for years still exist, and all the strengths that you guys were pointing out for years still exist. They're all still there. He's the same person, just wearing a different color jersey, and the 3-point shot isn't dropping at the same clip. I don't know what to tell you. Luka Doncic is an all-star, obviously.
I just think like people like starting to question if he can still be that player that leads you to a championship. People saying, can Luka be a winning player? Like, it's so funny how none of this stuff was here when he was in the finals or when they were on their way to the finals, because when they got to the finals, it was pretty nasty. But I just think like in the finals, that was such a bad matchup for Dallas. The fact that people were picking Dallas was funny as hell to me. It was insane to me.
They were so obviously
the matchup. It was such a bad matchup. That's neither here or there. But I just think this isn't the right team. Like, this isn't a good team around Luka Doncic. Like, if the Lakers, let's say the Lakers go into this offseason and fix a majority of their holes and they can look like a team that can make it to a Western Conference Finals, and if things go their way, they can make a finals, a lot of these criticisms won't be happening anymore. I just think Luka Doncic is not getting a fair criticism right now because he's not peaking at an all-time level next to Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant. Like, not every player can do that. Not every player can do that. I still think Luka Doncic is very well within the top 5. And just because he's not as good as Shea, people have to like drop him down, which I really don't agree with. But that's Luka Doncic. I've been waiting to get that off my chest for a while now. Whew.
I've been hinting at it for a while, and I'm not the biggest Luka fan. I've never really been the biggest Luka fan because I think, once again, all the flaws that get pointed out today that apparently have just arisen have been there. And anytime I pointed them out back then, like when I was in 24, when I said Jokic was still better than him, despite Jokic only averaging 26, 10 and 9 or whatever. And Embiid was better that year when he was averaging 34, 12 and 6 or whatever he averaged. And like, so when Luka was still the 4th best player in the world and he averaged 34, 10 and 9 or whatever he averaged, that's when I was a hater. Now all of a sudden the same things I was saying back then and I was true still today, and now it's like, oh yeah, everyone's on that side. The reality, once again, this is the thing that gets me called a contrarian all the time. The pendulum with these players just swings so far all the time. You have a good stretch, you're the best player ever. You have a bad stretch, you're the worst player ever. Like, my opinion of Luka ultimately hasn't changed. I had him at 4th in 2024. I probably have him at 4th in 2026. Like, not much has changed other than Embiid is no longer in these talks. But now Shea has taken over. Like, it's not much has really changed. But Luka Doncic is cool. I will say Luka FC, maybe stop comparing everything he does to Shea because you're kind of setting him up for failure. You can still think he's better than Shea, but what I'm saying is maybe just don't start the Shea conversations every single time. Also, by the way, Shea was absolutely hooping in this Philly game. They're up by 17 now, but what I was watching was ridiculous. But anyway, that's Luka Doncic. We just spoke about him for about 15 minutes. So we'll get on to what is probably the last shoe-in, especially of the international player. No, the last shoe-in of the international players. I'm going to assume you have him, and that's Victor Wembanyama.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay. I want to ask you, because obviously he's an all-star. Shea, Luka, Jokic, like Wemby, these guys are obvious all-stars. Do you think he's a top 5 player in the NBA?
Do I think Wemby's a top 5 player in the NBA? Yes, I do.
Yeah. Okay.
I think
so. He would be your 5th?
He would be my 5th, yes. Okay. I definitely think the 4 and 5 can be interchangeable. Right now, I have Luka at 4 and Wemby at 5. I just think Wemby is one of the most valuable possession by possession players in the league. The ability to flip a defense and just change the trajectory of the basketball court the way that he does. With having a level of rim protector like Victor Wembanyama on the floor, you see guys like Stephon Castle, De'Aaron Fox, Dylan Harper, Harrison Barnes being more aggressive on the perimeter because they know, like, okay, if you first you got to beat me, then you got to go against him, and he shuts off areas of the floor that we've never seen before, so I just think that his ability to be as dominant and as destructive on the defensive side of the floor is extremely valuable. And then when he has those, he still has his offensive concerns, of course. But I do think that on the defensive side of the floor, he's just extremely impactful every time he steps on the floor. And that's always going to lead to an extremely good playoff formula. It's always going to lead to one of the best defenses in basketball. Like, we just seen them go up against OKC 3 times in a row and shut them down in spurts of the game. So I think Victor Wembanyama was my last. I wouldn't say last shoe-in, but he was like my last shoe-in, if that makes sense.
Yeah, he's definitely in that top 5 range. Once again, at this point, I'm probably at the point of Jokic and Shea are my top 2. Giannis is probably 3rd, and he's probably locked in at 3rd. Luka, Wemby, another Western Conference player, and another Western Conference player are probably my 4 through 6, but I'm pretty confident in having Luka and Wemby as my 4 and 5. Now the order, I don't know. This is the thing. It's hard for me to project with Wemby. I do project the offense struggling in the playoffs against certain matchups, but I really want to see this defense and see if teams can game plan against how much of a rim presence he is. I really want to see that. And if they can, then maybe I'll be lower on my evaluation of Wemby because so much of it is contingent on intrinsic defensive value, where if you lose like 10% of that in the playoffs, and then you have the offensive shortcomings that I'm projecting, yeah, maybe you're not a top 5 player. So that's where I'm kind of hesitant on. So I understand people not having Wemby top 5 right now. Because, yeah, offensively, I think there are concerns. He's obviously still averaging like 25. And I seen someone told me he was averaging 12 rebounds. I didn't know that. So like 25, 12, and 3, 4, whatever. And then obviously the blocks are crazy. The minutes restriction he's been on recently has probably brought his averages down. But he still obviously provides spacing value as someone who can shoot the ball. Elite rim finisher, elite play finisher, one of the best in the sport. Walking mismatch. Is doing better at imposing himself physically, getting to the line more. How many free throws is Wemby shooting? Actually, let me look this up. There we go. Research on the fly because I do things very unprepared. The Spurs are also the 2 seed, by the way, which is definitely not
Yes,
something
they
I
are.
projected. Now I'm not going to attribute that all to Wemby since I think they were 9-3 without him. But Wemby is averaging 11.5 rebounds a game. So it's gone down slightly, but 11.5 rebounds a game, 24, 11, and 3.5 with 3 blocks and
6.5.
um 3 turnovers, to be fair. So the turnovers did come back up like I expected after the first few games of the season. But yeah, just Wemby defensively, the best rim protector in the sport, the best rim deterrent in the sport, changes the entire team's offensive game plans. Obviously, we've seen the impact he's had against OKC. Those have been like the notable moments. They're 3-0 against OKC, right? 3-0.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's a shooting. He's, in my opinion, he was all NBA caliber from his rookie year, the end of his rookie year, into his second year. He became a top 10 caliber player to me. And then this year, I think he's a top 5 caliber player. On that trajectory, he's going to be the greatest player ever by year 5. Just looking at the trajectory, I don't know what to tell you. But yeah, he's just been amazing. Obviously, the missed time does hurt in some capacity, but he's been playing at too high of a level for me to not have him as an all-star, not have him as a top 5 player in the NBA. Wemby has been amazing. Now that that's the 4 shoe-in international players, and we both got Jamal Murray in there. Did you have any other international players?
Did I have any other international players? No, but I'm not sure on it yet. There's 2 players that I'm still thinking about swapping in for some other guys, but yeah, I'm not 100% sure about them yet. If you don't mind, I'm gonna just lay out the 2 players and
Okay.
see what you think about them. Mine were Deni Avdija and Alperen Sengun. Those were my
Oh,
2
okay.
players that
Okay.
I'm really like on the fence about putting in. I'm thinking about swapping Chet with Alperen and Deni Avdija. I don't think I'm as close with this one, but I have Kawhi on my list. I think Kawhi's been great
Oh,
this
okay.
year. I don't know if I'm gonna swap him with Deni, not gonna lie. But I do want to see a first time all-star.
So
Yeah,
you
fuck it.
have Kawhi and Chet. Those are the 2 names I heard.
Yeah,
You have
those are
Kawhi
the
and
2
Chet.
names I heard. I'm thinking about swapping those 2 with Schengen and Deni.
Okay.
I think I'm
We could
gonna
talk
go
about
ahead.
Sengun and Deni. Yeah, we can talk about Sengun and
Yeah.
Deni. Who do you want to
Um,
start with?
I'll start with Sengun.
Go ahead.
I think Sengun has been really good this year. As far as just being able to swing the ball, finish around the rim, he's one of the best like post players in basketball, in my opinion. Just the ability to get himself open and play out of that. I don't think the shot making is going to be like as consistent. Like he started off the year really good as a shot maker, and then that has like toned down a little bit. But as far as being able to pass and create within the middle of the floor, I think he's been great. He's not my only Houston Rocket on this team, but I think Alperen Sengun definitely
I'll go
deserved a
right
shout.
Kevin Durant in. Okay.
But yeah, I definitely think Sengun deserved a shout.
I didn't have Sengun. Based on the start of the season, I thought he was going to be a shoe-in for me. I
Mhm.
really thought the level he was playing at early on, the efficient scoring. I thought, yeah, he's going to be an all-star for sure for me. I do think that's tailed off a little bit recently. I also think the defense is not as good as it was last year. Haven't liked him in the single big lineups. Really. It seems like this year he's needing more of another big behind him to make that defense a bit more viable. I think that's a bit of a concern. But overall, the strengths that you laid out, his ability to drive as a big is second to really none.
Mhm.
Shout out to Derek Queen, by the way. He's another big who has that skill set. I think it's
Yes.
really valuable. Yeah, his ability to drive is a big, obviously the post up stuff. He also does draw a lot of attention on the block, able to create for other people off of that as well. But the flaws are still similar. The touch has kind of deserted him for now. This is the second season in a row where like the touch and the missed layups, the missed floaters are starting to add up. We still don't have much of a mid-range game that he's going to it more often than last year, which is a good sign, but still not the greatest. And like he just is a bit slow to process defenses at times where he's still a bit predetermined with his reads. I know that's something you've had an issue with Darren Peterson about. But with Sengun, it's like
Look at you, man.
I'll be tapped in. I'll be tapped in. Um,
Making a man cry up here, bro.
Cam Boozer is still the number 1 prospect, by the way, but it's cool.
Okay. Okay.
Um, But yeah, he's just a bit predetermined sometimes. Like if he's thinking score on a possession, he might miss some reads, he might miss some cutters. If he's thinking pass on a possession, he might miss scoring opportunities because he's looking for the pass. Sometimes he's not great at audibling out of like different coverages if a double comes late. Um, and it's just these are flaws that like they're not really flaws in terms of at the level of player Sengun is, but like he's not a Jokic level passer, obviously. Like Jokic is probably the best at deciphering those things. So he's gonna be a tick slow, but he still does see defenses really well, really good in the middle of the floor. He still lacks in like the play finishing department. Like I'd like to see him more comfortable in the short roll as a scorer. Like right now, like if you have a man in the dunker spot or cutting out the corner and the Sengun catches it in the short roll, he can make the lob, like all of that stuff. But I want to see him be like if he could be a Draymond's level decision maker in the short roll with his scoring ability, I think that would add a bit more to his game. If he could be a typical pick and roll big in a better capacity, that would add a bit more to his game. So like he's a few like minor tweaks from being like a legitimate all NBA caliber player to me. So I definitely see that potential for him, but I'm just a little bit further away on him getting there right now, on him being there right now, but he definitely can get there. So I think Sengun, obviously at his age, I think he's 23. Amazing player. And then you said you considered Deni. So talk to me about Deni. I know DSG Piccolo's in the chat, probably a little bit disappointed that he still has no all-star representation. But go ahead, talk to me about Deni.
Deni was a guy that I really considered, especially after like the end of the season last year, where he was averaging like 24 points per game, shooting like 40% from three. He's still really good in transition. He's still a really good. He's still a really good transition player. He's still a really good driver, finisher. He's gotten much better as a passer and as a downhill scorer. But the thing that holds me back with him is just like the half court scoring that, from what I've seen, just has not still like really come on to for him to be like a reliable number one option in the half court. That's what's really held me back to where if I look at Kawhi Leonard, even though he hasn't played as much, he's just been playing at a level to where it's like I cannot ignore what Kawhi Leonard is doing. And I think that was like the main differentiator between the two. Like Kawhi Leonard's just as A+ scoring. Like Deni Avdija, he has his athleticism, his speed in the open floor, and his ability to get downhill and find guys. But I just think with his limitations in the half court, that's what really held me back. And yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think I was an advocate for Deni from when they traded for him. I was trying to tell people he was the Wizards' best player back when Kyle Kuzma was averaging 22. I was like, no, this Deni guy, yeah, he also flashback to the 2020 draft. He was my number 3 prospect in that draft. Behind I had LaMelo 1 and 2, Deni 3.
Yeah,
So
I
you know,
definitely had LaMelo
small
1.
victory lap. Yeah, me too. Me too. Small victory lap there. Small victory lap. I had Deni as my number 3 prospect. But yeah, I think the strengths are still, like you said, the strengths are still there, similar to what he had last year, similar to his strengths in Washington. He's one of the best drivers in the sport, really fast, really physical, really good in transition, good feel for like passing and kickouts and stuff. But the issue is like in the half court, there's just so much to be desired. The lack of an intermediate game is really glaring. The lack of pace on drives is really glaring. So it generates a lot of free throws. So shout out to him. He's getting to the line at a ridiculous rate. I think he's shooting 9 a game. So shout out to Deni getting himself to the line a whole lot. But the lack of an intermediate game, especially when games slow down, playoff setting basketball, I'm really concerned about how that looks, the offensive value that you're providing when you're really all the way at the rim, or the occasional three that I don't really buy as like a long-term shot. It's viable, but it's not great. And so you're kind of one-dimensional in that regard. The turnovers are also starting to pile up, getting stripped on drives once again due to the lack of pace. The handle isn't the most functional, especially in traffic. And then not having the greatest feel for interior passes means kickouts can be easier to defend, and you're not creating the highest leverage shots in terms of rim assist, all of that stuff. So it's just like, once again, minor nitpicks. That's why he's not a number 1 offensive player. He's not a tier 1 offensive guy. And I think that's not really a bad thing. Like, I don't think anyone really expected him to be a tier 1 offensive guy. But he is still really good. Also, the defense is just falling off a cliff. Like that's also a problem. Like if Deni was still providing like positive defensive value, I could probably get him in there along with like his offensive upside. But the defense has really just been like bad this year, and he's not the only one on Portland. Tamani's been extremely disappointing, but that's neither here nor there. But yeah, Portland's I think. Shout out to DSG. I'm gonna read a super chat now because it's relevant. Well, part of it is he's talking about the Steelers. So the Steelers were more worried about the sack record than scoring points. Shout out to the Steelers. I don't know if that's true. But then he said, also the Blazers got Tank FC, me, up. Another 8 players out tonight versus Celtics. It does seem like they are going towards the let's maximize our pick route. They are now 12 and 19. But yeah, there's something you wanted to say about the Steelers? It looked like you had something to add.
Yeah, just real fast because this is a basketball show. For all my people, my American football watchers, just an embarrassing performance from Pittsburgh. You win and you're in. You win. And again, this is where I've been, and this is where I've told everyone. I'm tired of Pittsburgh. I'm tired. I hope we get our butts whooped next week against Baltimore. So we can avoid the wild card loss by 20 points. Because that's what's going to happen. That's what's going to happen. The Steelers are going to make the playoffs and we're going to lose by 30. We're going to lose by 30. It happens every time we've made the playoffs over like the last 5 years. I'm tired of it. Mike Tomlin needs to go. I'm so tired of Mike Tomlin. I'm so tired of Mike Tomlin. Mars, this is the NBA. This is the NFL equivalent of Doc Rivers. He needs to go. And his old philosophies. Like, yeah, let's just go 9-8 and pick 20th in the draft. And let's go sign Kirk Cousins in free agency and go 9-8 all over again. That's enough. That's all. And last thing. Drive to go win the game. Run. Really?
No way. They ran.
Ran. First, second, and third down. Run the football. Just run the football. Oh.
Crazy.
If it were up to me, they all be gone.
It's crazy.
And I've been so detached from this team since we traded GP. Mars, this is like, for example, this is like if the Rockets traded Jalen Green and he just went to the Suns and started averaging 30.
In game 1, he had 29. I'm just saying.
Literally though, because George Pickens, attitude problem. Okay, I understand. Now he's one of the best receivers in football. Like I've been telling everybody that George Pickens is one of the most talented players in football. But he doesn't fit our Steeler way, so let's go trade him, even though the other wide receiver we just brought in just punched a fan.
Oh, no. Oh, okay.
Like, that's enough. That is enough. I hope we lose to Baltimore. I hope we go 3-14 next year. I hope Mike Tomlin gets fired, and let's just restart. Let's restart.
Yeah.
That's it.
Shout out to the Pittsburgh Steelers. So that's Deni and Alperen Sengun. There was I will use this time to talk about the international player that I had. And he was my last international player, and that's Lauri Markkanen.
You had Lauri.
Yeah, Lauri Markkanen. I understand the Jazz suck. I'm fully aware. They are currently 12 and 19, so the same record as the Blazers. Lauri Markkanen is averaging 28 points per game. And we spoke about Michael Porter Jr. 2 weeks ago, and we both had him on our Eastern Conference All-Stars, so shout out to us. Lauri Markkanen, to me, is the Western Conference Michael Porter Jr. As an off-ball wing, we'll call him a wing. He plays the 4, but he's a wing. As an off-ball wing at 7'1", I don't know what he's officially listed at, to shoot that well, to score that well away from the ball, to come off designed actions, to get out in the open court, the amount of value and spacing and scoring impact that he provides with so little touches is extremely impactful to me. Now, I do think there is a ceiling on that type of value because so much of it is designed plays. So it's not like it's out of freelance and you just have Lauri Markkanen, you plug him in and he's going to give you 25 on low usage. No, not really, because you do have to draw stuff up for him. So I do think there is like a cap on the value, especially once you get to a better team. Like, for example, I don't think he goes to the Pistons and still averages 28 because you have to draw a lot of things up for him. But the fact that you can draw so much up for him due to his versatility away from the ball, and the fact that the offense is just always good when Lauri Markkanen's on the court, that means something to me. Like Lauri Markkanen, and this is a Utah team that we all know they're tanking, like whatever, but they have a 117 offense with Lauri Markkanen on the court. Like, that's not the best offense in the league by any stretch. But the fact that they're able to generate good offense with a wing who has, for all intents and purposes, no passing value, no ability to create for himself off the dribble or off the bounce, but you're able to generate high level offense or good offense because he is just a crazy weapon at 7 feet. That's all-star value to me. And defensively, yeah, he's not good. He's not the worst defender in the world. I also thought about Keontae George just to give him flowers for how well he's been playing this year. But defensively, he's just a train wreck. But like Lauri Markkanen at least does like he can hold up in matchups. He can guard players on the wing one-on-one. Now, he's not going to provide great rim protection as a 7-footer, so you're going to be disappointed in that. And he's not going to navigate screens like a typical wing, so you do kind of fall into the tweener category of where do you fit in, but you definitely can guard one-on-one, which I do think does provide value. And then once again, everything he does offensively, we're looking at, in my opinion, maybe one of the 20 best offensive players on the planet. And then defensively, you're a neutral, I'll say maybe neutral, slight negative. That's all-star level value to me, especially when that guy's averaging 28 points per game. So yeah, Lauri Markkanen was my international representative. I favored him over a Deni. I favored him over an Alperen Sengun. But definitely understand the case for both of them. Lauri Markkanen was just a late addition for me as well. I didn't actually have him. I had someone else, and then I recently added him.
Really? Like, you
So
look
shout out
at,
to Lauri
you see all
Markkanen.
the scribbles on there?
Oh goddamn. Okay. But yeah, recent addition for me for Lauri Markkanen, but I feel like it's kind of hard to deny the level of
Real quick,
go ahead.
it feels like the Jazz are better than what they should be. And I know like 12 and 19, like, yeah, they're still bad, but it's
I
like
had them winning 9
second,
games the whole year.
yeah, I was about to
So,
say I had them winning 11 games. So it's like,
yeah.
and this to me, this is like a little bit of a like because I've been thinking about this for a while. Do you think Danny Ainge is like sabotaging the team by not really like by setting such like a high standard for his players to get moved?
What do you mean?
Like for like his asking price is always way too high, and that kind of like
Oh,
shrink some teams away and be like, I don't know if I want to make that trade. Do you think he's sabotaging them? Because they could get the 9th pick again and end up with LeBaron Philon.
well, the 9th pick would go to OKC.
Exactly.
So I'll let you know. I'm not in the Utah Jazz front office. The tank shall be activated soon. I'll just let you know. The tank, the real tank shall be activated soon. I don't know when, but the tank will be activated soon. They will inevitably lose 16 straight games. They will activate. Of all the tanking models, I guess the ones I probably respect the most are like what Brooklyn are doing and what Utah are doing, in the sense that they play basketball the way they want to play it, and they'll win or they'll be competitive early on, and then yeah, they'll throw the season away when it's time to like really get that pick. Because the Jazz and the Brooklyn Nets, no matter how much they try and build the right habits, then they were never going to make the playoffs this year. We both know that. Like, they could have gone all out and tried to win. With this roster, they weren't going to make the playoffs. So why not try and build good habits, implement your system, implement your structure, hold people accountable so that you're not just playing, quote unquote, losing basketball for 82 games. Instead, you're playing winning basketball while losing. And I think that should be the goal of tanking. It's going to sound oxymoronic, but there's a difference between what the Rockets were doing 2021, 2022, 2023 versus what the Jazz are doing right now. Both teams are tanking, but one is tanking while trying to build the right habits, implement a structure, implement a system. And the other one was tanking while they had no idea what was going on. I've seen an interview recently, not an interview, a podcast with Fred VanVleet and Kevin Durant. And Fred VanVleet said when he got into Houston, they didn't even know what icing a screen meant. We're at a point where these guys are NBA players and they didn't know what icing a screen was. That is unacceptable. Let me just call it what it is. That's unacceptable. If you are in the NBA playing against the best players in the world and you don't know what icing a screen is, that's you've built a bad culture, you built bad habits, you've built a bad infrastructure. So shout out to Ime, Dylan Brooks, Fred VanVleet, Steven Adams, all of those guys, Jeff Green coming in and helping build the Rockets infrastructure that is actually viable towards success. But coming into that, and I'm not gonna like use that to once again defend Jalen Green and be like, oh, Jalen Green got held back by the Rockets. But like I do want to say, like, if a Jabari Smith, for example, if a Jalen Green, even an Alperen Şengün, if they would have got drafted to a tanking team that was actually trying to build good habits like a Brooklyn Nets, like a current Utah Jazz, I do think they would probably have looked better early on, despite being the same level of talent. And I think, so I do think, yeah, Danny Ainge is probably pricing teams out of deals for like a Lauri Markkanen, maybe a Keontae. But at the end of the day, I don't think tanking should just be let's lose as many games as possible. Unless you're like an Indiana Pacers, like Indiana, you've already built your infrastructure, you're just decimated with injuries. You guys kind of can just like lose as much as you want, like whatever. But like if you're the Wizards, if you're who else is tanking in the NBA right now? Are the Hornets tanking or do they just suck?
I think a little bit of both.
But even the Hornets, I think, are starting to build something there, which is cool. So like the Wizards are probably like the last like true tanking team left.
Mm-hmm.
And like I've liked some of the things I've seen, but overall it's still like a lot of nonsense going on over there. But yeah, I prefer like a Utah type tank, especially when I know January, February, Lauri Markkanen is going to be ruled out for a left toe sprain or something, and he's going to miss the rest of the season. So like they're going to be fine. They're going to get their tank. I would love to see a guy like AJ in their system. I would love to see Kambuza in their system because of the way he moves the ball and understands spacing and ball movement and screening. Like I think Kambuza would be great for them. I'm curious to see what's going on in Utah. But yeah, Lauri Markkanen is an all-star for me. He's not an all-star for you. You had a couple more guys. I want you to talk about them because I didn't have either one of them. Chet was the one I took off for Lauri Markkanen. Spoiler alert. Yeah. I had Chet and I took him off to have Lauri Markkanen. So we'll start with him. Talk to me about Chet.
I think Chet has shown some real offensive upside, offensive improvement this season with just the ability to play within the middle of the floor, put the ball on the floor, be able to attack on the offensive side, and he's still one of the best rim protectors in basketball. I can understand why a lot of people would be a little bit off Chet off of this recent skid, but you can just tell like he's just like in his own head. He's in his own head really bad when he goes against San Antonio, and you can tell like what that possession where he tries to turn around on Wemby, blocks it, gets to the free throw line, misses both of them. And it's like, this is like one of the biggest stages. A lot of people are watching this. Like a lot of people are watching Wemby like walk you down. And it's like, you are a way better basketball player than this. You are a way better basketball player than this. And after the playoffs and now this, it's like some people may not know it. But I do think Chet has really improved on the offensive side of the ball. I don't think he's as like, okay, now walk with me real fast. Walk with me because this might be like, I want you to let me know if I'm tripping. I don't think he's been as impactful defensively this year, but it's just like,
oh yeah. I've been said that. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I just think the Thunder hide it really well to where it's like, if he was on another team, it would be a little bit more noticeable, but it's like, you know, he's on this great world record breaking defensive team. People may not just talk about it, but yeah, I don't think Chet has been as dominant of a rim protector that he's been or that he can be. And again, maybe the Thunder are just going through their championship fatigue stage right now. Happens to the best of us. You know, I know when I won Pee Wee football the next year, I sat at the concession stand. You know, I was there. You know, I wasn't locked in, but it happens. But yeah, Chet, I think Chet still deserves to be on the All-Star team just because of the offensive improvements that he's made. He has taken a step back on defense, but I still think he's an extremely impactful defender. I just don't think he's to the level of where you can consider him being a top 3, top 5 defender in basketball. Like I was like, I had him ahead of Rudy last year. I don't think he's been better than Rudy this year.
He hasn't.
So
Rudy's been amazing on
yeah,
defense this year.
Rudy has been
It's
fantastic.
a resurgence because last year he
Yeah.
was not this good. I don't know what
Yeah,
I don't know what he did
Rudy
in the
has been
summer, but
fantastic. But yeah, I still had Chet on my list though. He was one of the guys that I was thinking about swapping for Alperen. I just decided to stick with Chet because 1, I think he deserves it. 2, the Thunder are going to get 2 All-Stars. So
damn, the Raptors just tied the game.
yeah, I'm watching it.
Yeah, I've been paying attention. Steph has 40, I think. By the way, we're getting to Steph. Don't think we
Yeah, well, I was
forgot.
about to say we're going to get to him.
Yeah, we're getting to Steph. I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna watch these last 10 seconds. I'm gonna tell you, we're giving you live commentary. Steph has the ball with 6 seconds to go with Jamal
double team
guarding.
incoming.
Oh, that's an offensive foul. Steph just got a turnover.
Oh, again.
Yeah, that's not the first time I've seen Steph get a turnover.
That's definitely not the first
game
time.
where he's having a great game. But anyway, on Chet, yeah, the reason I took him off is you alluded to it. He's the defensive player of the year favorite right now. That's just way off base to me. Way off. I think he's still all league, like he's an all defensive caliber defender. He's still done that this year, but he definitely hasn't been the same impact. He's been fouling a lot more, been a step slow on certain rotations. I do think not having him in the middle as much has definitely been like more of a problem. Like he's not as good guarding in space. Like you don't want him doing that as often as he's had to do that. I think Hartenstein has been like quite clearly more impactful defensively as his ability to anchor the middle. I think you could probably say Kaysen's been better on defense, and he's a perimeter guy, which is like hard to do, especially when Chet is still the level of rim protector he is. But Kaysen's been amazing on defense. And then around the league, yeah, Rudy's been quite clearly better defensively to me. Obviously, Wemby, but the missed time. Then you can start getting to like Bam, Asar Thompson. There's been defenders I would take over Chet this year for sure. And then offensively, I do think there's been an improvement. I do like Chet in the middle of the floor. I do think having his ability in the mid-range and shoot turnaround jumpers and all that stuff has been a much needed improvement and growth for him, which is cool. But ultimately, the defensive slippage probably counteracts some of the offensive growth. And then looking at the rest of the Western Conference, I just don't think he's been at that level consistently enough to where I can have him on All-Star ballot. But I do understand it for sure, especially when like you are one of the 10 best defenders in the sport and you are good offensively. Like that's a pretty easy All-Star case. He's definitely an All-Star caliber player, but I just slightly favored some other guys, in part Lauri Markkinen. The other guy you said, Kawhi Leonard. Talk to me about Kawhi.
I think Kawhi Leonard and James Harden, spoiler, I have both of them on my All-Star team.
Overtime, just so you know, overtime.
I think both of these guys have played really good basketball this season, with James Harden being the perimeter-centric player that he is, being able to play out of pick and roll, be able to play out of isolation, and Kawhi Leonard just being the scorer he is. He's always been quietly one of the best scorers of our generation. It's just he doesn't get the like credit that the Harden's got, the Kevin Durant's got, the Steph's got, like some of those top tier scorers of our generation, and Kawhi has been that. The ability to play out of the post, the ability to have the touch around the mid-range, to get downhill. Kawhi Leonard has been great this year. Like, if the Clippers had a more athletic roster or just a younger roster, I think they'd be fine. Like, but they just don't have that. But I think Kawhi and James Harden were definitely guys I had to put in. At first, I was like, you know what, I might not put Kawhi because, I mean, this team has been extremely underwhelming, but it's like, if they played better, if the team was better, I'd have both of them. Like, it's not because of what they're doing. So that's what made me like put both of them on the list. I think James Harden he just did something crazy, but I forgot what it was. But he's still one of the best isolation players in the league, one of the best pick and roll players in the league at the age of like 36. So I really had to put both of them in.
Understandable. I definitely get it. I think Kawhi has a very strong case. The level he's been at since he's come back from the ankle injury has been extremely high. I think he's shooting 98% from the free throw line. I keep seeing that on the graphics whenever I watch Clippers games. Shout out to Brook Lopez for making 9 threes the other day, by the way.
Yeah.
This is the first year where I would say Kawhi is not like a clear positive on defense. Like his defense has been like mid this year,
Mm-hmm.
which bleeds some value. I do think the scoring is still obviously there. The mid-range stuff, the post stuff, the strength, the handle. Um, Still sometimes struggles with double teams, but still drawing a lot of that attention. And when he's not, he's creating good looks for his teammates. Definitely considered him. There was one guy I favored just based on the level of play they've been at this year, and they played slightly more games. So it was a marginal difference, but I definitely considered Kawhi for sure. And then you said you have James Harden. That's someone we both have. Um, what do you want to say about James?
James Harden, one for back-to-back years being able to carry a load while Kawhi Leonard isn't on the floor, does not get talked about enough. The consistent level of floor raising that he's able to provide as a perimeter scorer and as a playmaker doesn't get talked about enough. The ability to say that you've led the league in isolation points per game, I believe like 9 out of the past 10 years or 9 out of the past 11 years, is extremely crazy to say, given with how much athleticism he's lost over the years. Yeah, there's not like much I can really say about James Harden that we haven't covered on this podcast or I haven't covered on my channel. The best isolation player the league has ever seen, one of the best shot makers in the league. The ability to play out of the pick and roll, the ability to make difficult shots on the perimeter, and just provide a level of offense on a really limited offensive roster. Especially while Kawhi Leonard isn't there. Last year with the Clippers, this year now, it's crazy. It's crazy, but I had to put him. I think he was my seventh guy on my list. Yeah, seventh guy on my list.
Yeah, I had James. He was a shooter for me. One of the most impactful offensive players in the league this year. Whether you want to look at that from an on-off standpoint, I think the Clippers have a 104 offense without James Harden on the court this year, which is criminal. By the way, that's 11 points below league average. 120 with him on. Contrary to popular belief, James Harden does turn the ball over a lot, but the Clippers turn the ball over even more when James Harden is not on the court, because something people don't seem to understand is when you have no one who can create, turnovers tend to rise as on a team. If one person takes the burden of turnovers, the rest of the team tends to not turn it over as much because their decision making is made easier. But yeah, let's just focus on the turnover prone players and ignore that they actually, for the most part, tend to minimize team turnovers. But yeah, he's shooting a 3 at a ridiculous clip this year. Not to mention, he's doing it in all sorts of ways: off the catch, step backs, off the dribble, pull ups. Like the shot versatility, shot diversity this year through the roof. Like you can see, James Harden has definitely come to reconcile his athletic decline and is trying to make up for it with shot diversity, and it's working. He's shooting 37% from three this year, 9.5 attempts. This year, I think he's shooting better on twos than he has in any year since like his MVP level years. He's shooting, it's not great. Like, once again, 52% on twos is not ideal, 52.6% to be exact. But that's the best he shot since he was in Houston. Yeah, that's the best he shot since he was in Houston. 2021 actually. So, but in Brooklyn, he was, what was he at? 55.2. So 2021, best he shot on two since 2021. So pre-hamstring. Every year since then, he's been below 50%. So him getting up to 52.5%, obviously still getting to the line at a high clip. So the scoring has been extremely efficient. The most efficient years since the hamstring. He's at 63% true shooting, which is mightily impressive. High volume as well. Defensively, he's bad. So he's not staying in front of people at this point. Even in passing lanes, he's been less engaged. He can't. Defense is his rest place. We'll just call it what it is. He rests on defense. He doesn't. There's not much effort exerted anymore on defense. It's I'm gonna rest. If a steal comes to me, I'm gonna get it. Otherwise, I'm not really gonna do much. But offensively, he's still an engine. That's what he is. He's still the system. That's what he'll say. He's still the system. And I think he's a very well deserving all-star. And if the season ended today, he might be on my all NBA list. That's how good he's been. The next two players, I think we both have them, and then the last two we might be people we differed on, because one of mine was Lauri Markkinen. I still want to know who your last two are going to be. But we'll talk about these two in unison. They are kind of connected historically. Steph and Kevin Durant. We both had them, I think, obviously. Start with whoever you want to start with. Start with whoever you want to start with.
I'm gonna start with Mr. Kevin Durant. This season, I believe he's averaging 26 or 27 points per game on above 60% true shooting, while being still one of the best mid-range scorers in basketball, one of the best isolationists in basketball. And his isolation attempts don't look like as normal people would consider an isolation. I think his isolations are like you're at the elbow, swing through, jab step, shoot over length. Extremely efficient around the rim, extremely efficient within the mid range, plays off the ball really well, shooting 44% on catch and shoot threes. Like, we know who Kevin Durant is, one of the best scorers in basketball on and off the ball, the ability to drive off closeouts. He's still a real positive defender for this Houston Rockets team, whether that's playing off the ball or being a help side rim protector or somebody that can just disrupt actions and disrupt plays around the rim. He's been great there. Kevin Durant has been phenomenal this season. And it just really sucks because I think part of the problem in Houston is that, like, as we all know, they don't have Fred VanVleet there, and that has really hurt their clutch offense. That has really hurt their offenses in pinches, to where you're asking Kevin Durant to do a lot on the perimeter, or you're asking guys not to do things on the perimeter that they maybe should not be doing. But throughout all of that, I still think Kevin Durant has been fantastic this season. So I put him here. As a shoo-in as well.
Yeah, he was a shoo-in for me. If only he made some free throws, man. 50, 40, 90 is right there. 89.8% from the line this year. Yeah, like you said, he's averaging 25, 5 and 4, 51% from the field, 44% from three, 89.8% from the line. It's nice to see him actually make free throws this year after some years in Phoenix where he was at 84% last year. That was criminal to me. But yeah, the scoring ability is still, it's second to none. Looking at this Houston spacing, something that has been emphasized for a while, the fact that he's able to produce at this efficient of a clip is ridiculous. The turnovers are problematic. I think I looked at it just now, actually. I forgot the number. He's turning the ball over on 19% of his pick and roll possessions. That's bad. He's turning the ball over on 20% of his post-ups. That's bad. So you can see what the congested spacing is doing to his turnover rate. But the reality of the situation is, if Kevin Durant throws the ball towards the rim, there's a good chance that ball is going through the rim. And that level of value is still extremely, extremely high. Not to mention, and I tweeted about this the other day, of all the old heads, whether that's Bron, Steph, James Harden, even Kawhi, KD is the only one I would say is a legitimately still really good defender. He's the only one, like, on a game-to-game basis, is still providing. The Raptors ended up winning, by the way.
Yeah.
He's the only one I would say is legitimately adding high-level defensive impact, whether that's as a rim protector, switchability. Like, he's still really good on defense, and the motor is still there. So I think that's added value. He does still draw a lot of attention. Part of that is the fact that no one on his team can shoot outside of Reed Shepherd, and shout out to Tari Eason, shooting 50% from three this year. But, like, no one on his team is a respected shooter outside of Reed. So, like, part of his gravity is that, but also the fact that he is just Kevin Durant. So you have to send a lot of help towards him, and he's still able to give you 25 on the elite efficiency he does. The fact that Kevin Durant has made it a thing where people are slandering Kevin Durant for scoring 25 on as few shots as possible blows my mind. The fact that the gimmick with Kevin Durant is meet 25 on 14 shots, man. Since when is scoring 25 on 14 shots meant to be the problem? Like,
yeah,
the guy scores with some of the most difficult shot quality in the league, but because he can score 25 with difficult shot quality, we're meant to minimize the impact of that. Maybe I'm missing something. Kevin Durant is shooting 7% better from the field than expected per NBA.com. Shout out to NBA.com having these more advanced stats. They have a gravity stat now. Shout out to them. Kevin Durant is second in the league in that stat as well, by the way, if you
Who has this stat?
But what?
Who has this stat?
NBA.com.
Wow.
Yeah. They have a stat called gravity, and they have shot difficulty. So you can see someone's expected field goal percentage based on the shots they take. Kevin Durant is, like I said, 7% better. So is Steph Curry, for what it's worth, 7% better, based on what you'd expect. Based on his shot quality, Kevin Durant should be shooting just under 36% from three. He's shooting 44%. So, Kevin Durant, one of the best shot makers we've ever seen, easily. And then draws a bunch of attention. The Houston Rockets have one of the three best offenses in the league this year, in large part due to the fact that Kevin Durant is able to put the ball in the basket whenever, wherever, in any situation, and he does it efficiently all the time. Yeah, shooing for the All-Star game, Kevin Durant. I don't think there's really much to add to that. And then Steph Curry, once again, a shoo-in for the All-Star game. In this Raptors game, he just had let's just box score watch right quick. Steph just had 39 in 41 minutes against the Raptors. They just lost, by the way, for what it's worth. But
Yes,
he
they
did
did.
just have 39 on the season. I want to say he's averaging about 28, 29. Where are we? Steph Curry.
28.
Yeah, Steph's averaging 28 a game. He's leading the league in three-pointers made. Once again, the shot quality is in the gutter. The spacing around him is in the gutter. The amount of offensive help around him is lackluster at best. And he's able to find ways to impact offense, to score for himself, create for others with his gravity, which is, once again, per NBA.com, number one in the NBA. Scotty Barnes had 25 rebounds. Yeah, Steph Curry is amazing. Obviously, the decline, I think, is undeniable. The ability to create in isolation has declined. The 2-point scoring has somewhat declined. But still, the shooting, the gravity, the impact, the movement, all of that stuff is still through the roof. One of the most impactful offensive players still to this day. Defensively, there's been a lot of slippage. Just in terms of effort, motor, ability to stay in front of people. The size is obviously still a problem. I also think Steph is falling victim to the fact that now role players are starting to like become more offensively inclined. So you can't really hide him as much as you used to be able to back in the day. There was just a PJ Tucker in the corner or a
Yeah.
Al Farouk Aminu where you could hide him. I watched when they played the Suns, they were trying to hide him on Dylan Brooks, and Dylan Brooks is posting him up. Like that added layer of offensive complexity makes it harder to hide a guy like Steph Curry. But still one of the most impactful offensive players in the league. Definitely an all-star. Top 10 player in the NBA. You could argue, like, if you really, really valued the offensive impact, you could probably argue he's still top 5. But like, that's just how good he is. And he's 37, I think. 37, 38. Just amazing. Anything you want to add to Steph Curry?
Yeah, there was a point in this season, I think it was maybe a week ago, where Steph was making more threes than he did in his unanimous MVP year. While he was averaging like 30 points a game. I think this is while I looked, this was like right after the Portland game. But this year he's still averaging 12.2 threes per game, making about 5 if I round up per game, while averaging 28 points per game. I think you really laid it out, just the ability to win one-on-one and just the 2-point stuff really falling off a cliff as it comes with age, which makes him a little bit more reliant on his 3-point jump shot. Now, if there's anybody that you want to rely on their jump shot a little bit more than anybody else, it would be Steph Curry. So we let that go. But I give him his props for being able to create and be able to be such an impactful offensive player with the situation around him, because it really is not good. Like there are seriously offensive limited players around him, and it just feels like this is probably the best it can get this season. I don't know how tradable some of these guys are, even though just a couple of off seasons ago you could have got Lauri Markkinen, but neither here or there. But I had to put Steph here just because of what he's doing for this Warriors team. And it sucks to watch, man. It sucks to watch because the Warriors could be so much better, and Steph is still good enough to get them to the playoffs. So
Yeah. Shout out to Steph, shout out to KD, shout out to James Harden, shout out to Kawhi. All old heads, quote unquote, we had on our all-star ballot. There's 2 spots left. There's one who I know who is going to be, so we'll talk about him, and then I'll get your last spot. Well, both of our last spots, because I think we might differ on that one. The one that I think we both guaranteed have is Anthony Edwards.
Anthony Edwards, yes.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about Anthony Edwards. What makes him so good?
There's a top 5. I think Anthony Edwards is like right there. Right there. With his ability as a driver, as a 3-point shooter, I think it's unmatched, because how do you guard him? How do you guard him? I think he's been phenomenal this season, just working on the things he's been getting better at. I don't think he's been as impactful as a playmaker as I think he would have coming into the season, but I still think as a scorer, he's been much better. He's shooting like what 70, 78, 79% in the restricted area when he gets down there. He's gotten much better as a mid-range shooter. The three-point volume has went down, which is something I'm not necessarily upset with. I think he's taking 8 a game now versus last year. He took about 11, or 10 or 11. But yeah, he's still shooting 39% on 8 threes a game. I think Ant's been phenomenal this year, and he's only getting better. So he's a starter for me. He's starting at my 3 spot. I have SGA, Luka, and Wemby Jokic. That's my starting 5.
Makes total sense. Yeah, Ant was a shoo-in for me, no hesitation. I could see him being the 5th best player in the league. I've seen a lot of people saying he's better than Luka now, whatever. But
Still,
yeah, I'm gonna leave that one alone. But yeah, like you said, shooting a 3 at a high clip. He's added the mid-range this year. He's shooting about 41% on his 2-point jumpers, which isn't elite, but it is a nice wrinkle to have. He goes to his bank shot a lot, which I like. The biggest improvement for me, he was shooting 60% of the rim last year. He's now up that to 67%, which I do think is huge for him. His touch around the rim when he gets there is just ever so slightly better, and I do think that adds a bit of extra value to him. He's shooting 52% on all of his post-ups. I would like to see him actually post up more, to be fair. I think that's something where he's really, you can see his turnaround jumper is like automatic at this point. So if we get him more in the post, and that also changes how defenses have to guard him, I would love to see that a bit more. But yeah, Anthony Edwards, he's just become this scheme-proof scorer, in my opinion. I don't know how you stop Anthony Edwards from putting the ball in the basket without tilting your whole defense towards him. And as we spoke about many times in the past, if you have to tilt your whole defense to slow down someone scoring, the playmaking reads become so much easier, and you don't need to make advanced reads because you've already tilted the defense towards you. And I think that's the level of playmaker Ant can get to. And if not get to, he might already be there, just in terms of how much easier he makes offense for his teammates. Defensively, I'm not as high on Ant as like the consensus is. He's kind of playing, and this is not slander, he's kind of playing the late years of Kobe Bryant defense, where we're not actually doing much on a possession to possession basis. But when it's time to play defense, we gonna show you that we can defend at an elite level. And that's what Ant can do. Ant in isolation is really, really good. The screen navigation is still appalling, but like he can make help reads at the rim. He's explosive athletically. So like when Ant is dialed in, you can see the defensive capability. But on a possession to possession basis, it's really just it's mid to me. But offensively, he's one of the best in the world. And I think yeah, he's for sure a shoo-in for the All-Star game. So thus far, I just want to make sure I've got all of this right. You've spoke about Shea, Luka, Jokic, Wemby, Ant, Harden, Steph, Jamal Murray, KD, Chet, and Kawhi. So that's 11 of your 12. I've only spoke about 10 of my 12, and I have 2 more. I want to ask who your last person is before I say who my last 2 are.
this may be a little like this guy may be disqualified because he's out for a little while now, but I had Austin Reaves.
Okay, he was
Yeah,
one of my last 2. Yeah, okay.
yeah, Austin Reaves. Um, I'm not gonna like go too far down the rabbit hole with the Lakers again because I have a lot of thoughts. But Austin Reaves has been fantastic this year. Like he's been everything I've wanted him to be. The ability to play out of the pick and roll, to play with it in between, have the in between game that he has to get to the rim, and he's gotten much better as a passer, playmaker out of those pick and roll reads, whether that's shooting on the ball or that's getting into the teeth of the defense and making reads and being able to floor raise an offense when Luka isn't on the floor. We've all seen the stats of what he's averaging when Luka Doncic isn't on the floor. So I had to put Austin Reaves here. I think he was averaging like 28 on crazy true shooting percentages before he went down. I believe it was like 28 on like 68% true shooting, if I believe. But he's been great. Austin Reaves has been fantastic. So I had to put him here. I looked at the injury and I was like, I'm still going to put him here because I love Austin Reaves. But yeah, he made my list for me.
Yeah, Austin Reaves was an all-star for me. Obviously, I made this list before he was ruled out. How many weeks is it? 4 weeks?
Say again, yeah, 4
Is that how
weeks.
long? 4 weeks. Okay. Apparently, Kevin Durant isn't better on Ant than defense. this year. Okay, my fault. I thought. Sorry. Shout out to Raw Talk in the chat. But yeah, I didn't know. I didn't know it was a question. I thought KD was clearly
I'll
better
say
than
that
Ant
on there.
defensively this year.
You look.
My bad. Didn't know that. Good to know. But yeah, I think back to Austin Reeves. Before the 4 weeks, obviously he's probably not going to make it now because of his time. But the level in which he's been playing at before injury, like you said, the pick and roll stuff, the ability to get to the line, the mid-range stuff, like an offense that is predicated on high pick and roll, and Austin Reeves becoming one of the best pick and roll players in the NBA, you've seen this explosion. The passing has much improved. He's still not like an elite passer, but he's able to play off of his own scoring gravity and create for people, especially when he has the ball as much as he does. The scoring and ability to get downhill, craft, play off 2 feet, draw fouls. He's shooting a three at a decent clip. I want to say 37%. Maybe am I wrong when I say that?
He was
Where
shooting
are we?
about 37, 36 on about
36
80.
and a half, yeah, close enough.
Yeah.
36 and a half, we'll say before he went down. Let's just before he missed time. We're once again doing research on the fly because that's what we do. Before he went down, 36.9. Come on, man. That's eye test doesn't fail me. Anyway, yeah. Austin Reeves, one of the best offensive players in the sport this year. Defensively, I think he sucks. But I also think he's misutilized. I don't want to see Austin Reeves have to be guarding like the elite off-ball weapons in the NBA and have to chase them around all game. And then you're asking him to provide everything he provides on offense. I think you just misutilized him defensively. I do think if Austin Reeves is your worst defender in your starting five, you're fine. When Austin Reeves is probably your third best defender in your starting five, there's a problem. So like once again, similar to like the Lakers roster construction issues. But yeah, I think Austin Reeves offensively, there's not much to really go against. Like, yeah, he struggled against certain matchups where he's not able to draw fouls. That OKC game comes to mind. He struggled against the Wolves a bit earlier on in the season. But when he's able to get into the teeth of the defense and he's able to up fake and get to the line, like he's really, really tough to stop. And I think this year he's played at an all-star caliber level, and there's nothing really leading me to hesitate on that other than like games missed. But that's for people to handle in February. As of today, he's played 23 or 22 of their 30 games. That's enough for me. I'm gonna just say that. That's enough for me. He's an all-star. So we've got your full all-star ballot. We need my last name. And this is, I guess, my most controversial inclusion. I have Jimmy Butler. I think,
Okay.
I think Jimmy Butler's just been really good. And I seen someone earlier say, is Jimmy Butler the worst contract in the NBA? And like, I don't know, maybe I'm watching a different team, maybe I'm watching a different Warriors team, maybe I'm just higher on Jimmy Butler. I think he's really good. And I think the Warriors struggling, people are attributing it to the fact that Jimmy Butler's not a 25-point per game scorer. And to those people, I just ask, when has Jimmy Butler ever been there? Like, that's not where Jimmy Butler provides his value. Jimmy Butler is someone who is a secondary scorer. He's going to get to the line. He's going to attack mismatches. He's going to get it in all the little ways, the intangibles, all that good stuff. Like, he's going to get offensive rebounds. He's averaging 2 offensive rebounds a game. He's going to give you second chances. He's going to have the ball in his hands as a playmaker and decision maker, but not turn the ball over. He's averaging 1.5 turnovers a game. He's going to get steals and play passing lanes. He's averaging 1.5 steals a game. He's shooting a three at a decent clip this year. Like, once again, it's low volume. It's never really going to move me. But he is shooting 45% from three. So shout out to him. But the thing is, the guy is getting 7.5 free throw attempts a game at 85%. He scores at the rim routinely. He gets to the basket routinely. He draws a lot of attention when he does. He's really good at kick out passes. Defensively, he's really good away from the ball, causing havoc, playing lanes. Like, he provides all-star level value to me quite easily. I understand the Warriors have their problems, but I don't think Jimmy Butler is one of them. And if the reason he's a problem is because he doesn't score at the rate you expected, then I would ask you, when was Jimmy Butler ever an all-star caliber player? That's the question I guess I would ask. Because Jimmy Butler is doing what he did in 2023, what he did in 2022, what he did in 2021, what he did in 2020, what he did in 2019. Like, Jimmy Butler is doing all of those same things with what I would call a regression on defense. He's not all defensive caliber Jimmy Butler as he was 3 or 4 years ago, but still a good positive defender, contributing to a top 5 defense in the NBA. And then offensively, he's obviously the Warriors' second best player. And I think he's been a good second piece offensively. I don't think the Warriors' offense is Jimmy Butler is the problem. I think Draymond's been a problem on offense. I think Brandon Pojimski's reluctance to shoot at times has been a problem. Jonathan Kuminga's fit has been a problem. Quinton Post regressing as a three-point shooter has been a problem. Al Horford's sciatica has been a problem. Like a lot of problems before I get to Jimmy Butler's lack of scoring aggression. The guy's averaging 20. Like, how much did you guys expect Jimmy Butler to average this season? I guess would be my question. He averages 20. He's gonna have games where he's explosive as a scorer, where he's getting to the line. He's gonna have games where he's more passive as a scorer. Like, that's what he does. But I still do think he's providing all-star level value, and I think it's not quite easy. I did consider having some other names. I considered a Chet Holmgren, for example. De'Aaron Fox is definitely my toughest cut. Like, I definitely think De'Aaron was a really close call for me at the level he's played at. I think he's been good on defense. I think he's been really good on offense. His pick and roll execution, the mid-range stuff, he's getting to the rim as well at a high clip. De'Aaron was really tough to leave out. If we did this a few weeks earlier, Julius Randle would have had a shout. I definitely think he's regressed in the last few weeks, so that's kind of hurt him. Once again, Sengun was a tough cut. Deni was a tough cut. Devin Booker's also always an all-star caliber guy, although he's been disappointing this year. There's a lot of tough names, and I think Jimmy Butler has a case. But I think people are misguiding their anger at the Warriors season onto Jimmy Butler, and I don't really understand it. I think Jimmy Butler's been everything he's always been, similar to the Luka Doncic stuff, and yet now this year it's a problem. I don't really get it. But yeah, Jimmy Butler was my last All-Star. So yeah, there you go. That just about brings us to the end of our All-Star ballots. Is there anything you want to
add? Yeah, I think Jimmy Butler was a good shout. Obviously, I didn't have him on my All-Star ballot, but as a scorer, whether it's getting to the free throw line, playing out of the post, or just being relentless, getting to the basket or getting to the free throw line, that's something that obviously does help the Warriors. Just with the Western Conference, I didn't have him above De'Aaron or Chet on my list. Just because I think Chet has been a little bit more impactful on the defensive side of the floor and the improvement on offense. And then with De'Aaron Fox being the lead guard that he has been for the San Antonio Spurs, like I said on Twitter, I apologize, Mr. De'Aaron. I apologize. I want to make this public, actually, because I was on that train of, keep Dylan Harper, prioritize him. De'Aaron Fox doesn't really matter. I think he's been fantastic for the Spurs this season, so I had him above Jimmy Butler as well. But I do think what he does is still valuable. It's just a lot of guys in the Western Conference.
Yeah, that last spot was tough. I do think I could give that spot to De'Aaron. I think De'Aaron probably earns it. Maybe I'm favoring Jimmy because of a few extra games, and I'm saying that might make up the difference. I don't know. But the level in which the level in which De'Aaron Fox is playing at this year, just from a box score perspective, real quick. De'Aaron's averaging 22 and 6, so it doesn't sound crazy. 40% from three, well, 39, but we'll give him 40. 40% from 3 on 6 game. Just been a really steady presence for them, and he's playing really good defense. So he's playing good defense. He's playing within himself offensively. He's closing games. He's getting to the mid-range. He's getting to the rim. Like De'Aaron Fox, this has been like he's been like the perfect complement. He scales up when he needs to. He scales back when he doesn't need to. That game against OKC recently, he just had 30. Like he's doing. De'Aaron Fox is doing a lot of things that people were quite hell bent on saying he couldn't do, and he's doing it. So shout out to him. He's getting into the paint at a high clip. He's reduced a lot of the mid-range volume, I think. I don't know if the numbers bear that out, but like, he's getting into the paint a lot more, getting to like that floater range, which I think is definitely more valuable for his overall efficiency. But yeah, De'Aaron's been great. I could definitely see him being on the All-Star ballot. But before we get out of here, we have one more super chat. Zigsaw Puzzle said, "I'm so tired of Scotty Mayweather pick and choose MF." Is that Square Barnes?
I hope so, because I have no recollection of any Scotty Mayweather.
Well, I mean, he had a great game today, so I guess that's what he's picking and choosing. He pick and chooses when to play well. I mean, I guess. Shout out to Square Barnes. Anyway, let's put our All-Star graphics on the screen. You don't get to see our Eastern Conference one because you have to watch the episode for that. So you'll see our Western Conference bracket. Bear with me. Let's get this up here for the people. There we go. Okay, there we go. Let's do some quick adjustments. This is what we do. Boom. Okay. I'm gonna read out mine, and then John D can read out his. My ballot was SGA, Luka Doncic, Nikola Jokic, Victor Wembanyama, Lauri Markkanen, Austin Reaves, James Harden, Steph Curry, Jamal Murray, Kevin Durant, Anthony Edwards, and Jimmy Butler. And John D, yours was?
My Western Conference All-Star ballot was Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Luka Doncic, Nikola Jokic, Victor Wembanyama, Austin Reaves, Anthony Edwards, James Harden, Steph Curry, Jamal Murray, Kevin Durant, Chet Holmgren, and Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah, and if you can't tell, the color coding is for green being international players, blue being United States players, because that's the new format, new layout. So I thought I'd color code it for that. So I had, how many is that? I had 6 international players in my Western Conference ballot. John D had 5. Yeah. Okay, that's our Western Conference ballot. And then before we get out of here, John D, where can the people find you?
You guys can find me over at the Buzzer Sports, where we cover college basketball and NBA basketball, and starting to think about covering football. Who knows? That might not be a thing. But yeah, you guys can find me over at the Buzzer Sports and on TikTok, where we've been a way more consistent over there as well. Just covering college basketball as the season starts to ramp up. The mock drafts are going to start coming. The top 15, 20, 25, 30 prospects are going to be coming out as well. We're going to start working our way into the 35s and 40s, but there's just a lot of college basketball, and it's much harder to get those games, especially without a Synergy account. But we'll just let that go. But it's just much harder to access those games. But we will be working on college basketball way more. So at the Buzzer Sports.
There you go. As always, John D's links will be in the description. Yeah, you can find me here next week, Sunday, for the Hoop Talk podcast. So tap into that. I actually don't know what we're going to be talking about next week. We'll cross that bridge when the time comes. Rookies. Oh no, yeah, you reminded we was going to talk about the rookies. That's right.
The rookies. Yep.
So yeah, the rookies who have been hooping this year, I think they do deserve an episode. Just the young players in general. We'll probably
that will be a huge victory lap over here.
Well, come on, Malo, watch victory lap, I guess.
Hey.
Yeah. We'll probably make it about the young players in general, like the 22 and under players.
We did that last year too.
Yeah, we'll probably do it like rookies, sophomores, maybe some third-year players. We'll probably do something about that. So we'll talk about young players next week. So tap into that. Hear all the great prop about some of your favorite young players in the NBA and how they might look in the future, how good they are right now, all of that good stuff. So tap in 5 p.m. Eastern next Sunday, right over here, Hoop Talk podcast. But until then, Merry Christmas and goodbye, Dab. There we go.